Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
And away Purple Access goes. Chip Scoggins, Star Tribune, Zulgad, here to talk all things Vikings. And if you think this is a boring time of year, you ain't been paying attention. This has been a very exciting time of year. OTAs, we got access again. This week, Chipper was at the first one, which was now 2 weeks ago. But more importantly, Chip Scoggins, right around the corner, mandatory 3-day mini camp, which, by the way, it used to be 2 days and then like go golfing or bowling or play paintball. Last year, they used all 3 days. O'Connell was supposed to address the media after day 3. So I think we're going to see all 3 days, which leads me to this very important question. Give me 3 storylines that you think when you show up to watch the mandatory camp, give me your top of mind storylines that you are the most curious to see, or that you flat out think might be the most important things in really the last go around before training camp.
Sure. I think one is obvious for me, J.J. McCarthy, right? As I was preparing for this, I wrote down 3 C's, Judd, the 3 C's.
Love it. I love how you're going about this.
Command, chemistry, communication. So command, like, what does it look like? Like we saw, glimpses of it in the OTAs, but just more like how's the offense run, all that, how's he look. It was interesting that Jefferson talked after the OTAs this week. I was doing the Timberwolves wrap up, so I wasn't there, but he said he's our captain, right? Mm-hmm. He's our captain. I'm gonna be right there. I found that interesting. I don't think he's like designated captain, but just like, hey, he's the leader of this offense now. So, but really just kind of command the huddle, command the offense, command all that, how that looks. Chemistry, how's it look with Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson? He talked about, when he talked to McCarthy last week, he talked about just the importance of having the reps, having the opportunity to take risks with seeing tight windows can he throw into, how they come out of breaks, the anticipatory throws that he talked about. That's where he takes his risks, just kind of see what that chemistry looks like with those guys. And then communication, kind of with O'Connell. I thought about that with O'Connell. We talked about last week how, after every play, they kind of broke it down, but just communication with the offense, see how that goes, see if it, how they're coming together. So to me, it's all about just as many reps and getting him as acclimated as a starter as possible is the most important thing. 2.
Wait, hold on. Wait, because I want to comment on...
You give me your one, yeah.
Well, no, I want to comment on yours, though, because I find it in OTAs and in the minicamp, I find this to be the most interesting thing about the observatory skills of a guy like McCarthy, and it's this. So, because of how they structure it, and it's sort of an installation, some of it's walkthrough, the 7-on-7 is probably the most intense stuff, Chipper, but you also have to be sort of discerning in how you watch it, because, like, if you're just like, well, he doesn't look very good, you could be watching something where it's not surprising to O'Connell. So I do think, like, trying to get a grasp on McCarthy's progress, which I think there are some things you can definitely do that for, but because, teams aren't allowed to hit, because of how these things are structured and run. And I do think the minicamp's a little bit of a step up from the OTAs, because I think you've installed a lot more by then. I do think it's interesting, though, to try to parse out how you're watching it and what could be a red flag and what might look like a red flag, but it's not a red flag, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's interesting because Kevin O'Connell started his address last week, the first time we saw an OTA, and he's like, just a reminder, this is teaching and learning, and before you come with your charts and your how many throws we completed and theories, basically, don't read too much into this. And that's, all all the things about command and chemistry you take with a grain of salt because you don't know what they're going over. You don't know. Well, just fundamentally, he's not getting sacked. He's not getting chased.
Right.
They blow the play dead when it's dead, But also, I think this is a time for experimentation to see like what works, what doesn't work, and for him to really push the envelope and figure out for himself, like, okay, take those risks. So yeah, you can't really draw grand conclusions, but I think you can get an overall sense of like arm strength. We came back and talked about that a lot last week. Like, okay, he can really zip the ball in there. I mean, he's got a lot of arm strength. So, but I think just really anytime you have a new quarterback, you're just observing to see what it looks like, right?
Yes.
From a global perspective.
Well, and if you're and I will say this about off-season camps. If we go and watch it and you look lost, which McCarthy does not, that is a red flag. Like there have been times where it's like, oh, this guy's head is swimming. Well, and that's a real thing.
The quarterback they drafted, I'm losing his name in third rounder, Spielman.
Kellen Mond?
Mond. Like you could watch that and you're like, yeah, he looks really like it's really fast for him and he's
right.
And I even thought, you go back to the first few days of training camp last year, we saw some incompletions from McCarthy that the ball skipped off the ground or whatever. It seemed like everything was happening fast. And by week 2, it's like, man, he looks like a totally different quarterback now. So it's a process, right? Like the whole timing and all that. But I do think, I mean, obviously this is mandatory, but having Jefferson and those guys here just to get as many reps as they can. I mean, I think that's where you develop that chemistry.
All right, number 2.
Number 2, I'm going to go cornerback.
I like it.
What does Mekhi Blackman look like? I mean, we know Byron Murphy Jr., right? Like we know. Other than that, there's a lot of question marks, right? Isaiah Rodgers, Jeff Okudah, Mekhi Blackman. What does that group look like as a unit? Who's running with the ones? How does Flores mix and move them around, different things? I'm just curious to see. To me, that's probably, other than McCarthy saying the question mark, I know what you're going to see. The cornerback position to me right now is I think they're in a pretty good spot, Judd, but I don't know.
Yes. And in the OTA that was open on Monday, I will say this, and of course it's mix and match, okay? Yeah. But I will say this. First team, it felt like the majority of the time in nickel was Byron Murphy Jr. inside. Mm-hmm. Rodgers, who wasn't there the day that you were there, but was there and actually picked off a pass by McCarthy outside, and Jeff Okudah outside. Jeff Okudah is getting way more run than I expected. And to your point, here's my question. Here's my question to the Vikings that, of course, they won't give a completely truthful response to, so it doesn't matter what my question is. But it's this. Yeah. How comfortable are you with your cornerback room right now? Or are you trying to decide that? Blackman, I don't know where he's at. I mean, I still think that they like him. I still think he's got a chance. But, he's coming off a torn-up knee. He didn't play. So I am the fact Okudah's getting more run than I expected to me is really interesting. I've convinced myself that Rodgers and Murphy are starters.
Sure, yeah. And the thing about Okudah and Rodgers, they're both in that mid-20s, right? Or middle, I think they're both 26, 27.
Okudah feels old, but he's not that old.
I think they've both been in the league like 4 years, 5 years maybe. I think they're 26, 27. So not exactly veterans, but not new guys either. So it's I could see Rodgers being that starter. Yeah, before Blackman's injury, I thought of the young guys that they had, he's the one that stood out. Like he's the one you think, okay, he could be a player for him. It's unfortunate his injury, so I don't know where on the timeline, kind of where things are at, and if he's 100% back, if it's just knocking off rust, if it's how they view him. But I still feel like I think you made the right point. This might be a feeling out process to see if they need to go out and find another veteran.
Yeah.
That they can just kind of, bring in, plug him in, a guy who's been around in that 30-year-old range, whatever, 29, that has experience that they don't have to worry about getting up to speed. So to me, the cornerback is still a pretty big question mark.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And the number 3 for me, I went back and forth on this. There's part of me that thinks the trenches, how do the new guys in the trenches look? Both sides. We're not going to see it.
And Fries won't participate.
Fries won't. Yeah. So it's
that's why I went. Not, so
that's why I went with this one. I went with Dallas Turner. I want to see, what he looks like, how Flores uses him. Does he have some? Has he gained weight? Does he seem more instinctive this year than maybe he was early on last year? More, have a better grasp of his role and the responsibilities in Flores' defense. So I put Dallas Turner. This is a very important year for him, I think. Even though it's year 2, I just think with what they gave up to go up and get him, with all his athleticism and everything that we know about him, just the familiarity with the defense, I think this is a year where he could, make a jump, and you want to see a jump from him. So I put Dallas 3 on my list.
He's still a young player, but I feel like it's go time as well. Like he's a first round pick. To your point, it's not like he came cheap. And look, I think it's understandable that it's going to take a young guy a little bit of time to get into the Flores system. And, Grenard and Van Ginkel were spectacular. All of that being said, if Dallas Turner doesn't have a way more substantial role and a lot more snaps, I think it's an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, because, this is a guy you gave up a lot to. You didn't make the moves that you did to go up and get him thinking that after 2 years he's, kind of a part-time player. You're expecting a guy like that to really impact your deep, be impactful. And I think he has, obviously, the physical traits to do that. And Flores, I think, will put him in the right, or I know will put him in the right position. So I think he does, Judd. I think a couple things. One, you're just playing behind 2 Pro Bowlers.
Yep.
It's like 2 guys you hate to take off the field. But I think, and we saw that. I don't have it, game by game his snap count, but it increased. I don't know how dramatically, but he was out there, and he's as the season went on more and more, and felt like he showed up more splash plays. So, but I think they need to I think he needs to be impactful this year, right? Like that kind of impact player.
Yes.
So I don't know if we're going to see that in minicamp, because it's so rarely the OT.
But you'll see how he's used a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because he's got to take the Pat Jones role at the very least, right? Yes. He takes the Pat Jones role.
Yes, correct. So those are my 3.
I like it. The cornerback one I think is really, I think the cornerback one might be the one that intrigues me the most from, as we discussed, are they going to go get outside help still? Because I'm with you on that one. I think decisions...
Corner or quarterback?
Oh, corner. Well, quarterback, the backup stuff we've talked about.
I know.
It will remain a concern of mine because this roster is so good. But I do think that going into training camp, some decisions on what they see from Okudah in these camps is going to have been important.
Yeah.
Like they're definitely testing him. Phil said the PFF grades for Okudah, run defense-wise, very good. Pass defense, not good, which is really weird because he was such a high draft pick by Detroit. But it looks like they're definitely trying to get, I think they're very comfortable, and I think that they knew from Flores' standpoint what they were doing with Rodgers, bringing Murphy back. It's the other corner that I think there is some and depth as well. So, there's some questions.
You need 5, right? Just injuries and whatnot. And Okudah, the thing is I wish I could look it up his age, but I think he's 26. He's been on 3 teams, right?
Yep.
I think
mostly special teams, Houston, and mostly special teams.
Yeah, so it feels like they're giving him an opportunity to have a meaningful role here.
Yep.
It's just up to him as whether he's going to take it. But here's the thing. I got to imagine all these guys they bring in are Brian Flores guys he picked that he wanted. So he sees something. So if Brian Flores sees something, I think you have to trust it. Doesn't mean it's going to be 100. He's going to be 100% worked out, but
Right.
he obviously is telling personnel and Kwesi, oh, hey, by the way, got the contract. We can
Yeah, it's finally
stop
over.
talking about that. Yeah, we can stop talking about
Congratulations,
that.
Kwesi.
But he's telling him like he sees something like these are guys that would fit in his defense. So, but you're right. I think this is a big opportunity for somebody to for these guys to kind of resurrect their career and find a home if they can take advantage of it.
So Okudah, in some ways, could be Brian Flores' answer to O'Connell and Darnold, right?
Yeah. Not to the degree, obviously, but
no. But I'm just saying, like, as far as like, if O'Connell is the quarterback fixer or whisperer, I think Flores sort of sees himself as that defensively. And Jeff Okudah was drafted very high. He's been hurt before, so it might be a lost cause, but it certainly feels like they are exploring the space with him. So,
but I think they will come out of this offseason OTAs and minicamp with probably a pretty good answer. I mean, again, it's not real football all the way, but they'll know it's like, okay, we're thin there. Like we need to go out and get someone else. We need to keep trying to add to that. Because there's some of these depth guys I just don't know much about, right?
Right. They do like Dwight
McLaughlin, and he got some run with the ones I think the day I was there.
They definitely like him.
So, I mean, if Blackman's back and McLaughlin, these two guys, Rogers, Okudah, and Murphy, that's 5.
Yep.
But you can always. As Zim says, you never have enough.
But he's exactly right about that too. And if nothing else, Stephon Gilmore's always on his couch, just a phone call away, just a text away.
That's right. Yeah. I don't think he's officially retired, right?
No. So I've got my 3, but before Chipper, I get to my 3, I'm going to guess right now that you, Eastern suburban guy, are a barbecuer. Am I right? Do you barbecue?
I barbecue at least 5 times a week.
Awesome stuff. Because I want to tell you about my friends at Stoke BBQ Pellets, company based right here and operated right here in our fine state. 50-count fire starter buckets, 4-count fire starter bags, and for you, my friend, the barbecue caddy. Because this caddy, it's perfect for all of your barbecue needs. Stoke solid oak firewood, perfect for your tabletop stove. Easy to use, 5-inch pieces, will burn for 3+ hours. You can find their products at, take some notes here, Fratelloni's hardware and garden stores. Also, check out StokedBBQ.com to find their dealer locator as well. So either Fratelloni's and or StokedBBQ.com. That's the only advice I'm going to give you today.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, thank you very much. And of course a cold beer. All right. So here's my first one. So I'll come up with 3 different ones because you're right. I mean, quarterback is the thing that we're all going to be focused on. But my first one is this. And it's not going to be something that we see a lot of as far as the lack of contact because it's not allowed. But the run game is my first one. Jordan Mason. I mean, I knew the stats said that this dude could break tackles and that he was a hard runner. But man, when you see that dude up close, you could see why he breaks tackles. His legs are tree trunks, and I'm curious to watch more of that.
Yeah, that's what we were last week. We were standing there. I was like, look at that guy's legs. I mean, his legs were gigantic. So low to the ground and hard to bring down. Yeah, I think he is going to be, as they always say, push the pile. I think he's going to be a push the pile guy because he's got big, strong legs. And
right now, the depth chart there goes in some way, shape, or form. Let's just say 1A Aaron Jones, 1B Jordan Mason, and Ty Chandler's next. So, I sort of convinced myself he wasn't going to make the roster, but unless they bring in somebody else and, go get a Cam Akers back for a 6th round pick for the 3rd consecutive time, I'm curious on that one. I also think that this is the first camp, the beginning of this team knows it needs to run more. Mm-hmm. And the carries actually did go up, I think, fairly substantially from 23 to 24. But it's now imperative that it's not just the carries, it's the effectiveness, the red zone.
Well, I think, I know O'Connell came into last year. I mean, he went and got Aaron Jones, they knew that was a deficiency and they addressed it. I think this is the first year where they said they need to run differently in terms of being able to run in the red zone and run short yardage. And so efficiency is the right way to say it. Is like they've got to be better in those areas, particularly when you have a first-year quarterback, so it's not all on his shoulders.
Yep, exactly. And so this needs to be the year that they're more efficient. And plus you want to put JJ in 3rd and 3, not 3rd and 13.
Yeah.
So
and on 3rd and 3, be able to run it.
Amen. Exactly right. And guess who can do that? Jordan Mason. Go right up the gut for 4 yards. Okay, my second one, defensive line rotation. And here's why I bring that up. They wanted to do a rotation, a wave last year. They didn't have the quality to do it consistently. And Harrison Phillips, post-practice on Monday, Chipper, went to the podium. And I basically asked him in the nicest way possible, are you happy your snap count probably comes down? Now, that doesn't mean it's going to come down huge, but I mean, he's 29. Yeah. He played a lot the last 2 years. He probably was overused. Like, he's a good player, but he was like their best player on the defensive line. You've got Jonathan Allen now, Javon Hargrave, Harrison Phillips, Jalen Redmond. Mm-hmm. Like, they've got guys. I think we're going to see a desire, especially given the ages of Hargrave, Allen, and Phillips. I think we are going to start to see, and have seen in the practices already, more of a consistent and confidence from Flores in defensive line rotations.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, on paper, they got better there in the trenches, but I guess the one concern is they're getting up there in age on the defensive side. I mean, those guys and you've had some injury history there too. So I think to be the most effective, you can't ask those, particularly the 3 guys you mentioned, Hargrave, Allen, and Phillips, to play a ton of snaps. You know, they've got to spread those out. And so that means like a Redmond and some of these second wave guys have to be able to, you know, match the production and earn the trust of Flores that when they go in there, it's not going to be a drop. So, but I assume Phillips said yes to that.
He was really he's very jacked for the season.
Well,
so yes, he was very positive. But in his defense too, he should want his snaps to come down. You don't benefit from being an Iron Man there. You're going to get worn out.
Not at his age. Not as the older you get, you want to be able to be more effective at fewer snaps than have to feel like you're not at your best. So and that's a good thought because I think that's probably key to Flores' defense too, right? Having you start there, and I think that's why they went out and made such a spend a lot of money on that position, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It was
get
not
some difference
good
makers in there. No,
it was not good. Like flat out, it was like Brian Flores took over a defense that had been run poorly by, and we've beaten this one into the ground, Ed Donatel. But also personnel-wise, you did have some nice pieces, but you needed pieces. And I would say that the last real weakness left was a lack of depth and quality on the defensive line. But the Hargrave Allen conversation is very real because they're both coming off injuries, and they're both in what?
Plus 30 or older.
30 or 30 plus.
Yeah.
So like, this cannot be, hey, we got our guys now, it's fine. This has to be, to your point, guys also filling in for them so that they don't have to play too much.
And don't you think, like, Redmond, we saw him show up a lot at the end of last season.
They like him a lot, yeah.
I mean, I think he got a game ball one game and just felt like he made a lot of impactful plays for, I don't know what his snap count was or how much he was playing, but he just, it felt like he made a play or two a game where you're like, okay, the Redmond guy's in the backfield again, blowing up a run or, So I think, again, that's a guy who took advantage of the opportunity, earned the trust of the coaching staff, and I think we're going to see his role increase this year.
I'm curious too, because he got a ton of talk after the 2024 draft. he obviously didn't play a lot, but Levi Drake Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Because we talked a ton about his motor and look, I'm sure that coming from a small college, it was a huge step up. I get all that.
Sure.
But the excitement was, hey, this guy doesn't stop. He works his ass off. I mean, he is the definition, if he can do it, of a really potentially valuable rotational guy, at least to start with.
Yeah, it gives you 10 to 12, 14 snaps a game if you can, that's what you're looking for, like high motor, high impact. And I think Redmond brought that last year where it wasn't a ton of, reps early on. I think he got more as the season went on, but that guy showed up. Like, he made plays. So, yeah.
So that's my second thing. My third and final thing, also in the secondary, but not the cornerback, since you brought that up, safeties position.
Yeah.
So it was interesting in the OTA on Monday. Obviously, Harrison Smith is going to start. They opened with Theo Jackson, which I believe he is going to start.
Yeah.
Now, Josh Metellus, as your colleague Ben Gessling speculated on, and Doogie talked about this on the Scoop podcast today, it does appear that he is not participating in all the normal drills, and it might be contractual, but it also could mean a contract's close. Like, I don't sense it's acrimonious. But anyway, in team drills, Josh did participate somewhat, and he was then put at a traditional safety spot. It appears they are cross-training Jay Ward to play the rover spot, which Theo Jackson could play, but now he's going to be. And then the final point is this going, and we talk about it every year now, so I'm not going to assume it, but is this going to be the year that Harrison Smith gets some snaps off? So I'm very curious to see how they start to rotate and what they do at safety in the post-Cam Bynum age.
Yeah, I would, on the Harrison one, I would say I'll believe it when I see it, because one, I just think he's so valuable in terms of communication and getting guys lined up and everything that Flores talks about, that I think he leans on him a lot in terms of organization, checks, calls, making sure guys are deception, all those things. I just think he's such a valuable kind of lieutenant in Flores's defense that I don't think he likes having him off the field, if he doesn't have to. Now, but the other guys are the kind of the chess pieces that, that I think Flores is trying to figure out. I still think, Metellus is so good. Like his value is in his versatility and being able to move around. And I would think he's going to be in that role primarily, right? And then
I would think so, yeah.
Theo Jackson's the Cam Bynum role.
Yes.
And then Jay Ward, mixes in. But it does feel like they have four guys that they want to get on the field in some capacity. So that's where I think Van Ginkel talked about this last week, that, he's been around Flores, quite a bit of time now between here and Miami. And like, you still show up to OTAs and you don't know what he has in store. Like, I think this is kind of the time where Flores like just puts a million ideas on the wall to see what, and starts seeing what works. So, but it's interesting that there's a lot of like moving parts in the secondary between cornerback and safety right now, right? That they have to figure out.
Absolutely. I could see Metellus, just spitballing here, I could see Metellus playing a little bit more traditional safety now that Bynum is gone at times. Yeah. And because Theo Jackson knows the role that Metellus plays, so I could see trying to cause confusion by switching them at times. Not a lot. Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. Josh needs to play where Josh plays, which is basically 11 freaking positions. But I mean, I do think that there will always be, and I think it's what part of makes Flores a mad scientist, there's always going to be tweaks and there's always going to be changes. And it does feel like Jay Ward is getting more chances. I think that I sense they like him.
Yeah.
So
well, yeah, I think that's true. And it's that's the thing, is like, it feels like when you earn Flores' trust, he'll find a role for you, right? Yes. Like, even if he has two other safeties, three other safeties, he's going to find a way to deploy guys and get them on the field. So I think you're right about Ward, that they do like him and they're trying to figure out a way to get him on the field, because That is the beauty of I think what Flores does in any good coach. It's like you can paint outside the lines. It doesn't all have to be traditional.
100%.
You can just figure out a way to get your best players on the field or guys that you think can do different things. And so I think that's probably what this. I bet we see a lot of it in mini camp. Like guys all over and trying to figure out what works.
I'll give you one small one as well too. Don't be surprised if we see more of Eric Wilson at linebacker than we saw like Pace and Cashman get hurt. Okay, so but I'm not saying if they're hurt. I'm just saying Eric Wilson to me, I think in their mind is an upgrade, and I wonder if we're going to see in passing downs a little bit more of him and Cashman. And Pace off the field, because Pace is so good against the run, but he's not great against the pass. And Wilson, who started his career here, spent a year, I guess it didn't go well in Houston, but then was a contributor for the Packers. I would not be shocked if he becomes, if his snaps, even with everybody healthy, exceed what the linebackers' snaps did last year among the backups.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, I mean, as you're right. I mean, you're going to have injuries there, and we saw it with Pace and. I mean, Cashman missed a couple games, right?
They both get hurt.
I mean, it's just you just have to go in thinking depth, but I mean, that's what this is for, though, right? Like finding those guys that flash that they feel like trying to figure out who's going to be in their main rotation. So I'll keep an eye on Wilson. He wasn't top of my mind, but
I noticed it on.
I'll put him on my list for next week.
Get your notebook out. Make sure you stock up too. I'm low.
You mean bring you one? I could.
I do miss the strib. I do miss the strib because you could get endless reporters notebooks. The only thing that disappointed me was when the strib got rid of the red pens.
Yes,
they deemed them to be, and this is like 15 years ago, too expensive. There's nothing like a good red pen.
My thing is, my nervous habit. I drive people crazy, but I have to click a pen.
Yep.
And they used to have the old pens that had the great tops that I could, do like this and click. So it's a nervous thing. I do it all day. So I had to go out on my own and find them at our local Target to find
100%
pens with good tops that I can click and I can easily do this.
Yep. I did not realize. Yep.
The things that make us happy as people, right?
And as sleuths trying to get information, but the red pen was the first time I realized the media might be in trouble was when I said, "Where are the red pens?" And they're like, "Hey, we had to get rid of them."
First it's red pens, and it's
next thing you know, it's newsprint.
But that's right. Hey, but you would fit right in with O'Connell. The red pen days, right? With this quarterback, he loves the red pen meetings.
Yep. You know what?
Judd, bring your red pen in and tell us what plays you don't like.
I don't like this show. I like this show. I don't like this show. So red pen day, I go to Mackie. I like line delete a bunch of stuff. I don't want to do that show. All right, Chipper. I will see you out there next week for the mini camp, and then we will reconvene and react to it on Thursday.
All right, brother. We'll see you.